What's up, everybody? I'm Michael Allen, and this is the Movie Minute. This episode of the Movie Minute, we're talking about the new addition to the Marvel Universe, The Marvels, written and directed by Nia DaCosta. So, if you want to know if this movie is worth seeing in theaters, stick around. All right, so what happens in The Marvels? What is kind of the setup? We have each one of the Marvels. We have Captain Marvel, Captain Rambeau, and then Miss Marvel, who are all kind of in their own separate worlds, doing their own separate things, coming in from different things, right? We have Captain Marvel from Endgame, everything that happened with that. She's still kind of reeling from that whole situation. You have Captain Rambeau coming from WandaVision, where she got her powers at the end of the Witch Hex. Then you have Miss Marvel, who's coming off of this kind of Jersey City saving space. And they all share this power of light manipulation. So that's kind of the gist of the movie, is you have these three different women who all share a power that's very much related. And the movie basically explores that. Like, why are their powers related? Where do they come from? Why do they share those powers? And it's really a team-up movie. Obviously, it's called The Marvels. So you would think, okay, they're going to team up and they're going to work together to fight a very specific threat. And I mean, the threat is very generic. I mean, that's just one thing just to set out there. I think that there was something that could have been really unique about it, but it just wasn't. It's just another threat that is threatening some part of the universe that they have to team up together to tackle. And I don't want to say a lot more than that because I don't want to spoil the movie for you. Let's jump in and talk about what I liked first. I absolutely love Iman Vellani. She is great. She's the best part of this movie. She's really funny. She's really sweet. Her family is really relatable. I think that's one thing that I loved about Miss Marvel, the show, is that it was like, man, this is a family that loves each other, that are quirky and weird, but they do just care about each other. And that is relatable and watchable. You want to connect with her. You want to see her win. You want to see her succeed and grow. And so she's easily the highlight of the entire film. Really, the other thing that I really loved about the movie was the action sequences are really, really fun. Really great choreography, like fight choreography and stuff, really well executed. And I really liked that and thought Nia DaCosta did a really good job at directing those sequences. So let's talk about what I didn't like. First and foremost, the writing of this movie was terrible. I mean, it's sad to say it was messy. It was not fully realized. I mean, the bottom line is when you can take a scene from a movie and you can fully remove that scene from the film and it makes zero difference for what happens in the movie, that is bad writing. It really is. Every scene should advance the plot, the story, the characters. And there are two major sequences in this film that I won't say because I don't want to spoil it for those of you that are going to go see it. But there are major sequences that have no value at all in advancing the plot, advancing the characters, or making us understand like themes of the movie better. The plot itself is very, very thin. And there are a lot of things that happen in the movie that you're just like, why is this happening? Like, you are confused on why we're being shown something. And that is never, never good. And that's because story structure and plot are thin and they weren't fully explored. And I want to mention one other thing with writing and plot and story that really bugged me about this movie is that I'm in a writer's room, and when you are writing with other writers, there is a tendency to fall into this place of where you're writing and you're like, ha ha ha, we're so funny. And when you get to that point where you are like writing stuff for each other that you're laughing at, but you're not thinking about, will this actually work in this whole structure of the film, you are in big trouble. And that happens multiple times in this film where it's like they thought they were hilarious in the writing room and it did not translate. I think the last thing I just want to share about what I didn't like is, honestly, there is kind of a realm of believability in a lot of these movies where it's like, obviously it's a superhero movie. You believe the world, right? But there is a line that audiences no. And it's subconscious a lot of the times where it's like, oh, like you accept whether something is viable and you're like, oh, I believe that that could happen. Or they cross the line and you're like, what? Like this makes no sense. This movie does that a lot, where there's major plot points that are happening that you're like, wait, hold on a second. Why is that happening? That doesn't work. Like just from the realm of believability, it does not make sense. That happens so many times in this movie and it drug it down. It really did. So let's talk about ratings. From an entertainment spot, I mean, I would give it a 6 out of 10. It was okay. Not nearly as good as it should have been, what I thought it could have been. From a critic standpoint, it looked pretty, and there were some good action sequences, but it just was not a good movie. Too many writing problems, plot problems, story structure, pacing. There was way too many issues with this movie. And so, I mean, I'm going to give it a 4 out of 10 for critics' ratings. It just was not great. Averaged out 5 out of 10 from me for the Marvels. From a badge standpoint, I'm going to be a little generous and just give it a couch potato because I think there are some fun elements in this movie that made it enjoyable at times, but it is just not worth seeing this like in theaters, I don't think. It's totally one that you're like, all right, I'll just wait for it to hit Disney Plus in a few months. At the end of the day, The Marvels is just not what it needed to be. This needed to be something that kind of knocked people's socks off and brought people back of going, oh, MCU's coming back. They're going to really be telling some amazingly powerful, funny stories. This was not it. It fell short and it made me really, really sad. So my official recommendation for The Marvels would be to avoid it. See it on streaming. That's perfectly fine. If you're looking for more advice on what should I see in the theater, this is a great channel for you to be at. Hit that like button, hit the subscribe. Would love for you to join this community with us. And until next time, peace out, everybody.